हाँ. So the ways in which we do an attitude control, as I had already told you, that it is through spin stabilization. That is when you have a cylindrical or a symmetrical or a spherical device. Then we have a spin stabilization, and for a non-cylindrical device or non-spherical device, we have a 3-axis stabilization. Now, but how did we come to that is whether we are using an active attitude control or a passive attitude control. So this block diagram gives an explanation of attitude control is, say suppose attitude money your role and pitch, there is a defined expected value of your role and pitch that is being sensed and given as an input to the system. Then there is an algorithm which checks whether the values are correct or not. In case the values are not correct, it's an actuator, that is the jetsters, which will be used to actually bring back the satellite to the correct attitude parameters. And in case there are certain disturbances, again we need a feedback to find out whether the attitude is obtained or not. Disturbances could be a storm in the space or some variation in the gravitational pull or certain things which vary the attitude. So we need to actually have a feedback loop. Now, in case we don't have a feedback loop and a direct, this is an open circuit, and assuming the disturbances are minimum, what we are actually doing it to control is we are actually only having an active part. In case now we know that only having an active actuators, that is every time when there is a disturbance we have a jetster being activated, it will be very costly and will be actually demanding lot of fuel, and this will reduce the life of a satellite. And therefore we use this attitude dynamics. What is this dynamics is the flywheel effect that I told you, that in addition to actuators, that is an active control, we also have a passive control, which is like keeping your satellite in the correct orbit by those flywheel effect. Okay, so when it is like in the feedback, when this input from the attitude comes back to the sensor, so it's already from the dynamics also, it is orbit dynamics, you are getting the inputs to the sensor, which through the deterministic algorithm finds out the differences and gives back to the input, so that we change if required the attitude dynamics. Now, this combination of an actuator and the dynamic is actually a most efficient way of controlling your attitude, because it is saving your fuel, not only saving your fuel, but also keeping your satellite in orbit and not requiring it to be continuously being monitored. Okay, now we'll start with this link design, more problems that we could not cover. So for the first example is find the equivalent noise temperature. The amplified noise figure is given in dBs. The first thing that we need to do for this question is, what is your noise figure? Noise figure is equal to e to power of 0.25, correct? In normal scale, because it is given in dBs. So quickly solve this and tell me what is your noise figure. Then equivalent temperature is equivalent to T naught into F minus 1. I hope you remember this. Quickly solve this. T naught is taken to be 300 e to power of 0.25. You understood? I am converting this dBs to a normal scale. 1.284, right? So substituting the value, it is 300 into 0.284, correct? Tell me what is this equivalent noise temperature in Kelvin? 85.2 Kelvin. Okay. And अर्थ स्टेशन EIRP दिया है, पैराबोला का तुमको डायमेंशन दिया है, कैलकुलेट द output of a high power amplifier. Now what is the output of a high power amplifier is PTGT, right? EIRP कितना मेरा? EIRP is PT GT. अब वो तुमसे पूछ रहा है what is the value of PT? What is the output of, I'll write it T as small. G is the gain of a transmitting antenna, right? He is asking you is what is P? For gain, you know, what is the formula of gain? Eta pi d by lambda the whole square, correct? Okay. So अभी मेरे को EIRP मालूम है. So what the in dBs it will be EIRP is equivalent to PT plus GT, correct? Now I know EIRP, I know GT. So what is my PT? PT is equivalent to EIRP minus gain. Okay. So how much it is? 54 minus 2.5, which is equivalent to 54, 51.5 dB watts. Is it correct? आ गया? Now he is asking you the output power. We got it in dBs. We should be able to convert it into normal scale. So आपको दो आंसर हो सकते हैं, या तो you will be given the answer in dB in multiple choice, or you can be given in watts. So you should know to convert it into 10 to power of 5.15 watts. Tell me what is the value? 141.253
kilowatts.
kilowatts. Okay. समझ में आया? Yes. The transponder bandwidth is given. FSL is given. Other uplink parameters are atmospheric absorption, ground station power output, the feeder losses, ground station antenna gain, satellite antenna gain, satellite system temperature. Calculate the satellite received carrier level in dB watts, that is the power that is received, and the signal to noise ratio. So the problem is very simple. We need to first calculate the power being received. PR is equivalent to PT plus GR minus losses, PT, GT, GR minus losses. Now what are the losses? Losses is equivalent to your FSL plus atmospheric absorption plus feeder loss, correct? Okay. Now what are the losses? Let's find out the value of loss. So total loss is equal to 207.3 plus 18 plus 0.15,
5.45
dB watts. Okay, the losses we know. Now only thing is this watt is given in the power ground station transmitter power is given in watts, that is 17.86. We need to convert it into dBs, dB watt. Tell me the value of power. 12.51. Okay, now we know all the values. PT, now we know what is the gain of the earth station is 59.69. Gain of the receiving antenna is 38. So we know all the values. So can we now calculate the value of this? It is 12.51 plus GT transmitting antenna gain is 59.69 plus the satellite antenna GR 38 minus 225.45. बताइए कितना होगा?
115.
Okay. Now, what is the next part that we have to calculate is satellite need noise power, right? Noise power is what we know. Noise is KTB. ठीक है? K कितना है हमारा? K is minus 228.6. What is T? T is 10 log of 1349 plus what is B? Bandwidth. Bandwidth is 36 megahertz. 10 log of 36 mega.
21.737.
Okay, now what is your C by N? It is C minus N. Okay. So C is your nothing but the power, PR, right? So what is your receive power? Receive power का हमने value निकाल लिया. It is minus 115.25. Minus the noise means plus 121.737. Okay. So how much is the value?
6.487 dB.
6.487
dB.
dB, right? So this is again a simple problem which can be asked for 1 or 2 marks is that you are given the power of an antenna and the gain and asked to find out the EIRP in watts and dB watts. So EIRP, we know that EIRP is equal to PT into GT, right? So first thing is we need to find out gain in normal scale, which is equal to 10 to power of the gain, that is 46 divided by 10, that is 4.6. Okay, so आप ये दोनों निकालिए, then PT GT will be simply the product, and we also need to convert PT into dBs, that is 10 log of 10. What is 10 log of 10? It is nothing but 10 only. Just solve G and tell me EIRP. Sorry, gain is wrong. Gain is how much? 39.81. 39.81. So EIRP then becomes 398.1. And PT is 10. So ये कितना हो जाएगा sum? 10. Yeah, correct. 56 dB watts. Okay, correct. आया सबका ये? Okay, done. Now let's do the next. Another simple one is gain. Gain is equal to, मैंने क्या बोला था? Eta pi d by lambda. The whole square. Okay. So
Ma'am,
lambda.
can we use gain का formula as eta times 10.472?
Yeah.
FD?
Same. Correct. You can use it. You can use eta times 10.42 है ना? 42 FD.
472, right.
The whole square, correct? I'll just load that PPT. Tell me the answer. It is 78167. आ रहा है क्या?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you have to substitute gigahertz only.
Yeah. This formula it is only gigahertz. नहीं तो अगर हम वो normal formula use करेंगे जो मैंने last time किया था, lambda equal to c by f, तब तुमको 12 into 10 to power of 9 लेना पड़ेगा.
Okay, ma'am.
ये formula में f is in gigahertz and d is in meter. And you can even express this in dBs as, how much will be the value? 10 log of G, 48.93. Now you are given the gain of an antenna at some frequency. Now what you have to do is find the effective area. What is an effective area? A naught is equivalent to, A naught is equivalent to, कितना था तुम्हारा A naught?
10 log of lambda square by 4 pi.
10 log of lambda square upon 4 pi.
Correct? 10 log of
Lambda square upon 4 pi.
Yeah. Now what is our lambda? Lambda is equivalent to, we need to calculate our lambda. Okay, you are given the frequency. So lambda is equivalent to C by F. Okay, the frequency is 12. C by F is equal to 3 into 10 to power of 8 divided by 12 into 10 to power of 9. Okay.
Minus 43.033.
That is a 10 log of value.
Yes, ma'am.
Minus 43.033. 4 pi r lambda by 4 pi r by lambda the whole square. Now we need to calculate lambda for each. R is fixed at 42,000 kilometers. The lambda will change. Yeah, correct. 4 pi FRC by whole square is also correct. Correct, Mohit. So I can write it as, by replacing this, I can write it as 4 pi R F C, right? Lambda की जगह, sorry, F by C. Correct. F by C the whole square. Correct. So now you have the different frequencies. So 1, 2, 3, 4 values you need to substitute and get your value of FSL. Tell me the value in dBs. First. Yeah, for 4 gigahertz, it is 4.592 into 10 to power of 19, which is equivalent to into 10 to power of 19. Tell me the values in dBs. Complete for all the 4 values. So all the 4 cases. I hope it is clear now. So these are the ways in which you can be asked multiple choice questions for the module number 4. Now we will go. Okay. So what he is saying is we need to find out an inter-satellite distance between the 2 satellites which are located at 37 degrees west and 74 degrees east. And both are in a circular orbit. This is a geostationary. Determine the inter-satellite distance. So this simply means that the Earth say this is my Earth. Okay. Now I have 2 satellites. One at 37 degrees west, and the other is in east, say 74 degrees east. Okay, 37 degrees west and 74 degrees, sorry, this is west, so 37 degrees west and 74 degrees east. Now can you tell me what is first the distance between the what is the angular displacement between the two? Can anyone tell me? This angular displacement can be found out by simply adding. Since both are in the opposite direction, east and west, so the angle between the angular displacement is nothing but the sum. Had it been on the same direction, we need to find out the difference. Okay, so it will be simply 74 plus 37. Okay, so how much it is? The angular distance between the two satellites, it is 111. Yeah, correct. Okay, okay. Now what we have to find out is this distance, that is the distance between this point and this point. Okay, so can we apply the sine rule? You know the sine rule, na? Or basically one more important thing that we can find out. What is this distance between this point and this point and this? Can anyone tell me? ये कितना distance है? It is nothing but radius of the earth. Yes. Which is equivalent to, we will assume it to be 6400 kilometers. So what we know is, we know that this is radius of the earth, this is radius of the earth, this angle is 111. Can you tell me what will be these two angles? What will be this angle now? ये isosceles triangle बन गया, ये भी एक radius of the earth है, ये भी radius of the earth है, तो it will be coming an isosceles triangle. ये तुम्हारा 111 है, करेक्ट, 34.5 डिग्रीज. ये 111 है, ये isosceles triangle है, ये 34.5 है. करेक्ट, ये 34.5 है. So what will be getting is, tell me now what will be this side. What is this distance? When I know this, I can apply my sine rule. I know all the angles. I can apply the sine rule as the intersatellite distance ISD by sine of 111 is equivalent to 6400. That is, sorry, I'm so sorry. It is not radius of the earth. It's 42,000 kilometer from the surface of the 36. I'm so sorry. It is 42,000 kilometers divided by sine of 34.5, right? Do you agree to this? 42,400, it's okay? Correct. We can approximately take it as 4,200 kilometers. That is also fine. Now tell me, what is the inter-satellite distance, this distance between the two satellites? Okay, so ISD, everyone, are you getting 69 point? Inter-satellite distance 69.229 is wrong. It has to be 69,000, yeah, correct, 69,226. Okay, now similarly, now this problem, the next part is an extension of this. Now there is no isosceles triangle being formed. And other thing that we see here is the two satellites are on the same side. I'll just try to draw them again. You can read the problem by that time. It's the same problem. Yeah. So now the satellites, both the satellites are in the west side. And the slant range of both the cases is not the same. Okay. So what we have to see is, now you won't be forming an isosceles triangle. Now you won't be forming an isosceles triangle, but a scalene triangle. Both are in the, both are in the west side. So I'll just move it here. So one is at 85 and the other is at 25 west. And the other one is at 25 west. Okay. So can you tell me what will be the angle between them? We found out the angle in the previous case, but in this case, what will be the angle? Can anyone tell me? It's 60, correct. Now, since both are on the same side, please see, पहले दोनों अलग direction में थे, तो we took a sum. Now both are in the same side, so the angular distance between satellite will be how much? 85 minus 25, which is equal to 60 degrees. Okay. Now, in addition to this, what else are you given is this distance is slant range. Slant range is nothing but it is from the satellite to the Earth station. It is the same Earth station, that is a common Earth station, which I am assuming at certain point. Is one case it is 38,000 and in the other case it is 36,000. So it's forming a scalene triangle. So here it is 38,000 kilometers, and I'll just okay. And in the next case it is 36,000 kilometers. Okay. So we know this angle, which angle is 60 degrees. We know the two sides. Can anyone tell me, is there any way to find out the third side? That is, we are now interested in finding the inter-satellite distance. That is the distance between this satellite and this satellite. How will we find out? Can anyone tell me any formula which you can tell me? What will be inter-satellite distance? What you are saying is 180. No, you cannot make it, Fatima, by 2 because it is not an isosceles triangle. पहले केस में क्या था, इट वॉज इन अ जियो स्टेशनरी ऑर्बिट, तो दोनों का डिस्टेंस सेम था एंड वी टुक द एंगल एज डिवाइड बाय 2, बट दिस इज नॉट अ केस वेयर बोथ द साइड्स आर सेम, बिकॉज यहाँ पे डिस्टेंस एक का 38,000, एक का 36,000. आई कैन नॉट टेक द एंगल एंड अप्लाई द सेम साइन रूल. या तो साइन रूल अप्लाई करो, दैट्स ओके, बट यहाँ पे ये साइड नहीं मालूम है, ये मालूम है, ये मालूम है, ये नहीं मालूम है. So we have lot of unknowns. So the simple way would be using the cosine rule. You remember trigonometry में किया था 12th में, cosine rule to find out the distance, right? Basically we can divide the triangle. You can divide the triangle, but still you do not know it. It is nowhere said that it's a geostationary satellite. Alpha is 2 perfectly, the alpha is 2, but that means 30 by 30. But ये geostationary है क्या, तुमको height फिर भी नहीं मालूम. Okay, so I can apply a simple triangle पे cosine rule में apply कर सकती हूँ. I know two sides and the angle between them, so I can find out the third side, which is nothing but the intersatellite distance as 38,000 square plus 36,000 a square plus b square plus 2ab into cos of angle between them, that is 60. ये रूल याद है आपको? a square equal to b square plus c square minus 2bc minus 2bc. Its cosine rule says that a square is equal into b square plus c square minus 2bc cos of A, where capital A is the angle between B and C. B and C is the length of the side of two sides of a triangle, and A is the third side. So we'll be using this cosine rule to find out the value of intersatellite distance. Please calculate and let me know. Given for a Molniya orbit, you know the value of inclination, but here what is of importance is we are given the apogee height and perigee height and the time period we need to calculate. Now how do we calculate the time period? Do you remember the Kepler's third law, which says that T is equal to SQRT of what was it? T equal to SQRT of 2 pi, sorry, not SQRT of 2 pi, it is 2 pi SQRT of A cube by mu. Okay, mu. Okay, now what we need to find out is A. A is what is nothing but the semi-major axis of the orbit. Okay, the elliptical orbit. Now you are given the height. Height is given from the surface, so we need to calculate the radius of apogee, which is nothing but the height of an apogee plus the radius of the earth. Similarly, the radius of perigee is equal to the radius of the earth plus the height of the perigee, right? And your semi-major axis is nothing but RA plus RP divided by 2. That is, it is the distance from apogee to perigee divided by 2 will give us the semi-major axis. So if I look at this equation of time period, A is the only parameter that is unknown. Mu is a constant. Yeah, I missed out something. Mu by n square. वो time period था ना? N was the period. उसको हमने time में convert किया था 4 pi r square से. Let me check. पीपीटी में देख लेते हैं हम लोग. Yeah, what was our third law? Second law, third law. It is a cube equal to mu by n square. n हमारा क्या था? पीरियड था, तो 2 pi by t था n का रिप्रेजेंटेशन. तो अगर हम उसको करेंगे तो this is what we will get, that formula that I am using. Okay, Mohit? And the value of mu is this constant value which we can use it. So just substitute it this value and get the time period for the 3.98 into 10 to power of 14. Okay, so what is my RA? RA is equivalent to, we will take again 6400 plus 40,000 yeah, it comes out to be 26,600 kilometers. Okay, substitute in this equation and give me the value of T. Correct, so it is 43207 seconds equal to 12 hours. Correct. Okay. Kirti, you are getting the answer. Okay. Just last 4 minutes I have, in that I can just do this problem.
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, अभी हम लोग ये क्वेश्चन कर रहे हैं. इन अ सैटेलाइट इफ perigee height is 300 kilometer, find the additional velocity required to circularize the satellite at an apogee height of 4.2. actually ये ना from the center of the earth होना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये 42164 is a geostationary. तो मैं इसको क्या कर देती हूँ, I'll just change this value ताकि अपना आंसर सही आए. 3600 36,000 kilometers. Okay. Now the formula for velocity at any point is given by 2 by mu 1 by r minus 1 by a. Again it is derived from the second law, Kepler's second law, that where r is the height, that is the radius at any particular point, which could be the height, and this a is the semi-major axis of the ellipse that we are following. Mu we know. Now what he is saying is find the additional velocity required to circularize it into. Circularize means it is right now in a at a height of this particular 36,000 kilometer, और अगर वो circular orbit हो जाएगा तो what will be the velocity required? Okay, so first let us find out what is the velocity at apogee. Apogee is nothing but a point where it is at 36,000 kilometer plus 6378. Okay, so this comes out to be, फटाफट बताइए v का क्या वैल्यू आ रहा है. v is coming out to be 1.6 kilometers per second. Yeah, yes or no, Kirti? What is the unit? Kilometers per second. Yes. Now this orbit, this is an ellipse. Now it has to be converted into a circle. When it is being converted into a circle, what is the a and r? They both become same. Correct? Circle में a और r become same. Meaning 2 by a minus 2 by a minus 1 by a money, when it is a circular orbit, the velocity is equal to SQRT of mu by a. Okay, tell me what is the value? Yeah, kilometer per second, ma'am. जल्दी बता दो इसका आंसर एंड वी आर अबाउट टू फिनिश इट. खत्म होगा. जल्दी इसका आंसर बताओ बिकॉज सेकेंड क्वेश्चन यही है सेम लाइंस पे. व्हाट इज म्यू बाय ए? एसक्यूआरटी ऑफ म्यू बाय ए 4.02 kilometers per second. Okay, so what he is asking is what is the additional velocity required? This is v1, this is v2. So additional velocity is equal to v2 minus v1. That is the thrust that you need to provide it so that it can perform. So how much is for 4.02 minus 1.2
kilometers per second?
2.42 kilometer per second. Okay. Okay. So I have finished, I think, all types of problems. I'll share